Hello everyone and welcome to our very first Thursday Thoughts. Now this is brand new for us, and we are trying to get into the live streaming side of using social media, something that's growing in popularity, something that we're seeing is something that you guys, our network, are wanting to see and wanting to get involved with. So we are trying this for the very first time on Facebook. We hope it's going to work perfectly well. If technology lets us down, we are recording this and we can make it available some other platform somewhere. We will actually record this and put this up on our YouTube channel as well. So first and foremost, my name is Michael Ingledew. I'm the Managing Director of Tech Data World, and TDW is kind of my brainchild. It's my passion, it's my living, and it's my livelihood, and I love it very, very much. And you can get in touch with me personally on LinkedIn and all of those great places. Facebook, you can follow us on here, and you'll see lots of stuff that I do as well. So just want to say that the idea is that we're going to do one of these every week. The idea is that we're going to do it at the same time every week, regardless of where I am in the world, which is great news for you because I am traveling a lot over the next couple of weeks, going to see some customers in Switzerland and Germany and a couple of places around the UK. And so wherever I'm from, I will do one of these live streams. And the idea is that you guys can join us and engage with us, ask questions about where we are and what we're doing, and all of those fantastic and lovely things. But it's not really going to work unless you guys don't engage. So we really, really want your questions. And if I just look down at my panel here, so you can get in touch with us in lots of different ways. So you can get in touch with us on the good old Twitter, which is where a lot of people are following us right now. And we put lots of updates daily from kind of where we are and what we're doing and how we're doing it. And you can follow us on Instagram. We have only just launched Instagram for TDW, and already we've started to get some great followers on there, which is fantastic. The great news about, I'll talk about Instagram a little bit more in a moment, but the great thing about Instagram for us is that we will be able to just give very quick, instantaneous updates on what we're doing. Of course, you're already following us on Facebook if you're watching here right now, but just in case you're watching this on a recording somewhere else, follow us on Facebook. And we're on LinkedIn. We don't do a massive amount on LinkedIn, to be fair. We do share a lot of our posts, etc., but we will be putting some more stuff on our company pages on LinkedIn. So hopefully you'll join in the love and follow us on YouTube. And we're over on the tubes, as they call it, so you can go over and follow us there. So today I just want to give a little bit of news update, a little bit of industry update, a little bit of kind of what's happening out there in the world as we see it around Tech Docs. I've got my notes in front of me, which is why I keep looking at the screen here. And then I want to talk about some specific questions that come our way a great deal of the time. A lot of our time here is actually answering questions from the technical communications industry. So recently we got some questions about learning codes and learning event codes and that and those kind of things, and right down to how do we merge PDFs from multiple OEMs is another question that we received probably about a week and a half ago. So we get loads and loads and loads of questions here at TDW, and the idea is that we'll answer some of those, the low-hanging ones here, which then maybe all of the community is having a specific problem with. So we will look at that from your perspective, and the guys that are asking the questions, and maybe adding a little bit of experience from our side on what it is that we believe you guys can be doing to solve those business problems for you. But we get questions all the way from software, what kind of software should we be using? Who are the best service providers out there? And we have been working in this industry now for over 20 years. We know all of the major software vendors. We know all of the major service providers, and we know the good ones, and we know the not so good ones, and we know the ones that have delivered, and we know the ones that haven't delivered, because it's a small, close-knit community that we focus on in the aerospace and defense sector. So the idea is that we will do that. As I said, we get loads of questions around specifications and standards. So everything from S1000D, which is kind of the run-of-the-mill kind of questions that we get here at TDW, and I've already mentioned some of the questions that we've had, like how can we create a CMP using S1000D and the publication modules? What should they be looking out for? That's one of the latest questions that we got. A guy in Germany asked us about the learning event codes and the learning codes, and what method should they be using in terms of codification of their learning data modules. And we asked their CSDB vendor as well, are you supporting this capability? And they answered us, because they know that we have no interest other than supporting the guys that are asking our questions. And so they answered the question for us and sent us over some screenshots, and said, yeah, this is where it is in our software. So everyone was a winner. Great question that came in that we're thinking about answering probably next week is, what is the S1000D process module, and should we be using it? Now, the process module, as you know, if you've been working with S1000D for a while, is kind of one of those topics and subjects that kind of polarizes people. Some people hate it, some people love it, some people want to use it, some people have used it and failed, some people have used it and kind of semi-succeeded. So we'll look at something like that next week, I hope. But I'm going to talk about something else we want to talk about next week. Getting in touch with us on all of those social channels. You can comment on our Facebook feed. You can comment on all of the great stuff that we're doing here on the live tubes as well. And as I mentioned, you can get in touch with us at Member Services. You can ping over your email to us, and one of the guys will pick it up and pass it over to me, and we'll add it to the plethora of questions that we do get here. A lot of your questions inspire our tutorials, and some of your tutorials inspire our presentations that we make available on TDIQ. So if you're not a TDIQ subscriber, maybe think about it, and you get access to lots of great content that we put together. So what I want to talk about this week is some basic updates from us here at TDW. Yesterday we launched our podcast, or we released our podcast episode 3, which is my kind of thoughts on why it is I believe we should be continually learning in the aerospace and defense technical communication, technical data, technical information discipline. And I gave lots of key data points in there as to why it's important and fundamental, and why we should be doing it. Because if we're not doing it, why we're opening ourselves up to the firing line. And I put in there some key metrics, well, not metrics, but data points that I'm picking up from the market. And it's only 20 minutes long. Go and subscribe to our podcast. It's the link's up on our main website, techdataworld.com. And you can listen online, you can subscribe on iTunes, you can subscribe on Google Play, and we've just submitted to you Spotify users, we've just submitted to Spotify. Hopefully they will accept our podcast, and you'll be able to subscribe on our Spotify channel, which will be out there as well. So that was last week. I gave a full 40-minute TDIQ presentation on the 5 things that I look for when I'm advising clients on selecting a software solution or a service provider. And these are 5 of many things that we look for. And it's part 1. And we look at kind of the culture of an organization, and the skill set of an organization, and the desire of an organization. So if you are a TDIQ subscriber, you can head on over and you can watch that in full. If you're not a TDIQ subscriber, of course I want you to be one, but if you don't want to, we've written a full blog as well, and there will be a follow-up article that will come in the magazine as well in the next couple of issues over the next couple of months. I've mentioned already that Instagram is now live, so you can, those of you that are Instagrammers, please do go over and follow us. I'll just put the link up again. You can head over and you can follow us, and you can watch us, and you can see all of the great things that we're doing over on the Grams. And it really kind of leads me in nicely to the main news this week. And I've got to be really, really careful here, because what I don't want to do, I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to report any inaccurate facts. So I'm going to be deliberately and specifically, I'm going to be not obtuse, but I'm going to be kind of vague. And if you are in the UK, you are likely to have seen the news of an inquest here in the UK, where at the heart of the inquest, where a pilot was killed, it was proven that some information was missing, technical information. Now, they don't specifically, in the news reports, they don't call out technical documentation, they don't call out technical information. What they do say is that there were warnings missing from some instructions. And so we can take from that it's inferred that it's in the technical documentation. Now, this for us started a few years ago when we had the Military Aircraft Accident Investigation Branch came to our conference and gave a presentation, and they actually talked about this specific case where a bolt, when it's over tightened, it pinches a shackle, and the shackle gives a false belief that the shackle is in a safe position, because they put a pin in, and they believe that the shackle's supposed to drop down. They lock it, and it can't be used to eject the seat. And it turns out that actually the bolt that holds the shackle had been over tightened, and the shackle was stuck in the up position, as I understand. And that meant that there was an inadvertent or accidental operation of the ejector seat, and the pilot was ejected from the aircraft, and ultimately he lost his life, and tragically it resulted in a death. And like I say, I want to be slightly careful about how I talk about this, because I don't know all of the facts at this stage. And next week I want to do a full tutorial on this. I want to talk about the importance of what we do. And when it goes wrong, and it goes wrong very, very badly. And the company in question, you can go and Google it, has been fined a significant amount of money. And it was proven that there was a warning that should have been issued that wasn't issued. And so next week we'll talk about that, and that's the Hawk aircraft on the Red Arrows here in the United Kingdom, and I'll do a full tutorial on that. And I didn't want to mention it, because this is our first Thursday Thoughts, but it's in the news, and it made sense that we mentioned it, because it's around technical information and it's applicable to what we do in our sector. So not a great opening, but we will talk about it certainly in a podcast and possibly a YouTube tutorial as well, and we'll talk about that. Going to move on to some of the questions, the low-hanging fruit. This week I really wanted to focus on the low-hanging fruit questions that I get asked repeatedly here at TDW. And I was on the road last week, and I was up with DCS Sonovision, and some questions came up again, and I was at a meeting with CDG Boeing as well also last week, and some of these questions came up there as well. So I thought this would be a great time to kind of answer some of those questions. And I just wanted to say that these are low-hanging fruit questions. I get that, and next week hopefully we'll get our teeth into something a little bit more technically gripping, and just once we make sure that all of this technology is working and everybody's happy and comfortable. So the questions I'm going to answer is it came up loads of times last year, but it also came up at a meeting last week, and that was do we plan on becoming a recruitment service? And the answer in short to that is no. We have no plans of becoming a recruitment service. That doesn't mean our members can't get in touch with us and say, do you know any technical authors? Recently, we were asked if we knew any IPC compilers. That they absolutely keep sending those questions in, because we have a wide network. What we don't want to do is we don't want to get stuck in the cycle of trying to help organizations resource their projects, and we put one bad apple in and it reflects badly on us. Also, and I talk about this in the podcast, I think, is that we're seeing a little bit of a market trend that there are desk hoppers. And what we mean by desk hoppers is that there are those that they will go to an organization, work on a contract, and then 2 weeks later they're offered £2 an hour or $2 an hour somewhere else, and they'll go hop over there. And the skills in the market are declining, and I talk about that on the podcast. The kind of things that we can do about that. But I think it's kind of one of those tasks that you really don't want to get involved in. And talking to the guys at DCS Sonovision, they said that the recruitment company that they use is fantastic, a company called ARM. And I know Lee from old, and so if they're doing a great job, then let them do a great job. And they probably already built that database of technical authors, illustrators, IPC compilers, 3D illustrators, and those kind of things. So no, we don't want to do that. Another one that's coming in regularly is, where have my newsletters gone? Okay, if you haven't seen it yet, and you've probably noticed that most organizations now that are doing newsletter marketing, email marketing, those kind of things, there are new EU laws coming into effect in May, I think. And that means that you have to be super careful about how you use people's email addresses and personal information. This all comes from those big data breaches that we've had with Yahoo, and Sony, I think, had one as well. The EU, it takes personal data very, very, or the European Union takes the personal data very, very seriously. So they are introducing a whole bunch of new legislation that everybody's going to have to sign up to. That means that you will protect and you will safeguard everybody's personal information, and you will use it only for the purposes that you're allowed to use it for. So that means we had to rethink our newsletter strategy a little bit. And what we've done is, because we're creating lots and lots of new content, we are previously, what we did is we manually created our newsletters, and then we pinged them out using Salesforce, which is a customer relationship management system, if you don't know what that is. And we pinged that out to everybody, and everybody received it and did what they needed to do with it. But as we've grown and we're producing more and more content, that just wasn't scalable. That's not a scalable solution for us. So what we've decided is our website now weekly sends a notification to everybody saying these are the latest blogs, tutorials, podcasts, videos from TDI or from TDW. You can go and watch them on our website, our social channels, our podcast channels, whatever it might be. And that goes automatically. We don't have to do anything. All we have to do is create the content. The website does that for us automatically, which is fantastic. It removed a huge amount of burden for us from the actual production of newsletters. That being said, lots of people are saying that they're not receiving those newsletters. So what we have decided we're going to do is once a month, and we're producing one right now, we will do a monthly summary from our Salesforce system. So that will then be pinged out. I think this one's going out Monday morning or something. So if you're not receiving either one of those, then there is a firewall or some kind of blockage your end. Or if you need to check that you're on our system, just send us an email into memberservices@techdataworld.com. One of the guys will pick it up and we'll check it. If you want to get the automated ones, just go to our website and sign up there. There's a 2-step verification process, which is part of the new EU regulations. You can go and have a look at that and do those great things. So that's where the newsletters have gone. That's why they've changed. This question came up again only a couple of weeks ago when I was meeting some technical authors, but it came up at TDW Live, our conference last year, and it's one that we get asked frequently, and it's whether we are aligning ourselves to the ISTC or not. And the answer in short again is no, but we have had a couple of years ago, we had some exploratory discussions with the guys at the ISTC, the president at the time, and I'm sorry, I forget the lady's name. I met her up in Grantham, and I told her a little bit about, TDW, what we're about, where we're going, and what it is that my vision for TDW. And the ISTC in short is a broad church. It kind of covers all of the technical illustrators, technical communicators from all industries. And TDW, we focus very, very specifically on a niche. We are very much into the aerospace and defense sector. So, and that's because that's what we know. We know how it ticks, and we know the kind of problems that the market has. So we did have exploratory discussions, but so we decided not to progress those discussions at this stage, although it was tabled that maybe we would head some kind of aerospace and defense special interest group, which we're still keen to do. But for us the areas where we really wanted to focus our energy is with organisations like the UK CEB, which is now called Team Defence Information. Now, if you don't know who they are, I think there's a link off our website to theirs. They focus specifically on standards and specifications, giving that advice and supporting the UK Ministry of Defence. And we're involved in a number of their groups. I'm up there that way next week attending the Combined Technical Documentation Working Group, and these all come under the Team Defence Information kind of umbrella. So it was made more sense for us to be involved with those groups as opposed to something that the ISTC was doing at that stage. So that being said, next week we're also got a meeting, or I have a meeting with the NDI, the Northern Defence Industries, who are going to brief me on what it is that they do within their organisation and how TDW might be able to benefit from being a member of that organisation. In fact, any of you watching this, if you are actually members of NDI, I'd be very, very keen to hear what your experiences are in terms of what they do and how they do it, and is it worthwhile being involved? Because it's absolutely, something I've said to Claire that I think we need to certainly consider being involved with. Looking at their website, they're talking to all the companies that we're involved with. So it makes a certain amount of sense. So the ISTC question, it's not dead. It's just something that I thought at that time it was best putting our energy somewhere else in terms of Team Defence Information and possibly the NDI organisation. Another great question that came in. Last year we did a tutorial on how we used some free low-cost tools to help us implement things like S1000D. And this particular tester tutorial that we did was around something called Xmind, which is a mind mapping tool. So you could probably use any mind mapping tool. It just so happens that we use Xmind. We're not sponsored by them. We don't get anything from them for mentioning them. But what we decided was that we would do a tester tutorial to say, look, we use Xmind to create S1000D DMRLs, SNS structures, visualizing publication modules, those kind of things. And we just spent an hour recording something, putting it together. We threw it up on YouTube, and the feedback we had was phenomenal. And we've had loads and loads of questions asking us if we plan to do more of those kind of tutorials. And the answer is yes. We have a list of about 35 tutorials that we want to do in that genre, in that kind of area. We want to do something that will add value to you guys and add value to the wider community, and make available some of these tools. We've got some 3D tools that we use, which are 200-300 euros, as opposed to the 10,000-15,000 euros that you might spend on some tools. And we have some great screen capture tools that we use, but we're also going to look at some specific features within specific software products as well, that how they might actually benefit you and your tech docs and your technical information production kind of quest, if you like. So those are the 4 questions that I thought I would answer this week, because they're the kind of common questions that we get wherever we go. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on any of those, and put your comments down below, because absolutely I'm interested. This community only works if you guys engage, if you guys keep sending us your questions, you keep sending us your comments, your ideas, your suggestions. Most of what we're doing is driven by you asking us questions. So all the TDIQ courses are kind of stuff that you guys have sent to us. And if people are having problems understanding how to define an SNS structure, we then go and do a tutorial on it, and we put it up there. And we've got about 300 or 400 courses or short courses planned, and there's one major course that we've got planned coming up for release very shortly as well. So if you want more information on that, you can get in touch with us at Member Services. I'll pop it back up again. You can get in touch with us here, and we will more than happily send you some information. My personal email address is michael@techdataworld.com, and you can get in touch with me direct. I have no problem with you contacting me direct. I said that this would last about 20 to 30 minutes. We're about 30 minutes in, which is perfect. I just want to ask, is this the kind of stuff you want to see from us? Is this the kind of stuff that's interesting to you? It brings you closer to us, and we hope it brings us closer to you. And at this point, I think what I will do is I will just quickly, very, very briefly check if there's been any. It doesn't look like there's been any questions, but my browser looks like it's frozen, so I won't get to that. But if there are any comments or questions or suggestions in there, I will absolutely answer those on Thursday Thoughts next week. I'm in the office Thursday Thoughts next week, but the week after, I'm traveling back from Switzerland, so it'll probably be done from an airport, just as I'm about to get onto an aircraft back from Switzerland back to the UK. So I hope that was interesting, useful, and thought-provoking. Please do, as I said, send us all of your thoughts, comments, negative as well. If you've got some ideas for improvement, please do get in touch. But at this point, I think what I will do is I will run the title sequence again, and I thank you for your continued support and positive comments that we are getting, and look forward to seeing you on the other side.